Peace and love, everybody. Peace and love. It is your brozo here, and another wonderful guest. You know what I mean. I have in front of us my man Tyraine-El. I thank you very much for being here, brother. And let me go ahead and start off real quick. Little intro. Um, you know, First of all, if you have not, please check out my book here. Let me see if I can. There you go. There we go. Bicultural Living and Leaving the World of Illusions. I wrote this book about my experience and my experience about my life journey and how, you know, I'm conscious of way of self. It's all in here. Um, and also, it motivated me to make this podcast because just being able to reach out to people, you know what I mean, and with information, knowledge that that can that can help others. As always, one of my great teachers, Pod Nabab, aka Dr. York, always says, "No one wins the race in racism." So I'm here for the people that get it. You know what I mean? I don't care race, gender, orientation. I don't really care about that. We're beings or soul spirit beings living a physical experience. So you know, anybody's trying to elevate, I'm here for that. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to go on great individuals like this brother here to help people as well. Also, please, when you're on here and we watch this, please follow and subscribe. You just subscribe here on YouTube. Follow me if you haven't already. My website. I'm gonna put it across the bottom there. That yourbrozo.com. And as you can see in the bottom, I do got my Cash App on there because we always trying to promote and make things better. So if you want to donate, you know what I'm saying, YBZLLC Cash App, we appreciate that as well. Um, and let me go ahead and get back to my man, Tyrene, the brother Tyrene L. I've known this brother for quite a minute. You might have, if you looked at the Elevated Beings podcast, you might have seen him before breaking down his numerology thing. But I think he's gonna go a little deeper on some different subjects today. So, brother Tyrene, you know what I'm saying? How are you doing today? First
Peace.
off,
Peace, family. It's good to be here. Good to be in the building. Man, my name is Tyraine-El, numerologist, Moorish American. Man, I'm just here trying to add on, man, and, trying to help out the people any way I can with bringing information and, things that's going to change your life for real.
all right. Well, that's dope. That's dope. That's dope. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and open. Give you the mic, so to speak. If you would please introduce. I mean, please tell me about your how you got to how you are today. You know, um, your trials, your tribulations, your epiphanies to get to where you are today. Because not right now you're becoming you know, you become a very informative brother with a lot of good information. And as we know, we don't start that way. So could you please tell us
Yeah,
your journey and how you got here?
yeah, for sure. So, I'm from VA, and man, I grew up like most of our people, Christian, just looking for different things, trying to figure out my lane. And we titled this Health, Wealth, and Knowledge of Self. And that's become my modern day philosophy. That's kind of what I feel is a valuable focus for anybody. If you focus on those three things, you can kind of get everything else in order. And that mantra or that philosophy really came out of the nation of gods and earths, the 5% nation. And when I was about 16, the Wu-Tang Clan was dropping. I'm dating myself, but when that first album came out, it was dope, and a lot of people was trying to figure out, what the science was. What was they talking about? If you wasn't, a 5%er, you really didn't understand all of the lingo. So, I was in high school, and somebody, ended up putting me on to the lessons. And so once I started studying that, it really just changed the way that I perceived everything. I kind of had to relearn and realize that a lot of what I was taught was just not true. And so I started studying and just going through different schools of thought. And, I ended up, going to school, moving to Atlanta, just going through the motions, the journey of life, and, going through different schools of thoughts. I started getting into martial arts and Taoism. I got into numerology. I got into, eventually it led me to the Moorish Science Temple of America. And so I had got introduced to the conscious community, back maybe 2012, 2011, and I was dabbling in that. And that's how I met my brother right here, Brozo. We were both members of New Covenant, as a matter of fact, dealing with Polite early on, before all the scandal, before all the nonsense. We was dealing with him. And, as I navigated through these different groups, and I started noticing that, like, they weren't really giving the people the game. They was just kind of like spoon feeding them and really just trying to get money out of them. And I started seeing this with a lot of different people. I started going to different groups and organizations to see what they offered. And a lot of times they didn't really offer nothing that was life changing. They had a lot of philosophy, a lot of ancient history, some of which was very questionable. They had a lot of different information. It was just like information overload. And then I started getting all this information, and it was like, what am I supposed to do with all this? Okay, now I know this. Now I know the Moors did this. I know this happened. I know we did this. We did that. Now what? Where does that leave me? I still got bills to pay. I still got to maintain my health, right? I still have to figure out what my purpose is and why am I here? So these questions were still plaguing me while I'm going through these different schools of thought, dealing with different individuals and different groups and organizations, and just still having the same issues where, I'm still dealing with financial issues. I'm still not at my optimal health. I'm still a little bit uncertain or unsure of what my path and what my direction is. And so while I was searching, I started to come up with things that worked in my life. And there were a couple of things that I learned on my way that really improved my life. I can honestly say I've seen the benefit of learning these sciences or different practices, if you will. And I started to practice and learn these things. And the first one was numerology. That's the one that really just kind of changed the way I look at everything. And I discovered numerology kind of on a humble. I think it was Borders Books was going out of business back in the day, and I went to one and they had like one book in the whole store, and it was like a cheesy book on numerology. So I got it, and I went on vacation with some family, and I'm reading through it, and everything it's saying about me is 100% spot on. So I'm like, yo, this can't be real. So I started asking people their birthday, unbeknownst to them, going back and doing the math on it. And everybody that was there, it said they would be on vacation that month. It was just describing these people to the T. And it was like, yo, this can't be real. So I came back when I came back from out of town after about a week, I started researching numerology and buying more books because I was trying to disprove it because I thought it was like fake. I didn't believe in it. So after about the third book, I realized it was actually a science. And I've read over 22 books at this point on the subject. So really just taking my time and really trying to master the craft because I've seen so much useful benefits in it, And that was really the thing that changed my life. Along this journey, I started getting into the martial arts, and in particular, some of the internal martial arts like the Qigong, the Tai Chi. And I started seeing my health improve. I started seeing that I have more energy. And, I started seeing all of these benefits. Like, man, this is something that should be practiced. Like, everybody should be doing this. Like, and then what really changed my mind is I was doing some research, and I found that Harvard Medical did a study and showed that people who study Tai Chi live an average of 5 years longer than people who don't. And I thought that was interesting because there are certain spiritual practices, religious practices, or cultures that practice Tai Chi as a part of their spiritual practice. So, for instance, Taoism, a lot of times they practice Tai Chi. That's a part of their spiritual practice. So, I started to think to myself, if you were to become a Taoist and practice the actual Tai Chi that's taught within the Taoist temple, you just added 5 years on your life just by switching your religion to a religion that has something like that within it. And it doesn't have to be a religion. It can be, a culture, or it can be a group or organization. You can join a karate class. It doesn't have to be a religion. But the reason I thought about religion is because around this time there was a lot of debates about religion, and I felt that a lot of people were using religion as a scapegoat and not understanding that religion is just a tool. It's not good nor bad. It's a way of life. It's not dogma. And I think people started to get doctrine mixed up with religion as opposed to understand religion just being a way in which you carry and conduct yourself. So I also started to get into some of Dr. Sebi's works and, eating healthy. And I also noticed that, man, when I eat plant-based and eat more fruits and vegetables, I feel better. So, I started cutting out the meats, and I just seen an improvement in my skin and a lot of things. And I was like, wow, like this is really powerful. And I started researching again, saying that 90% of diseases are diet related. So I'm thinking, well, wow, if a group of people was to just study Tai Chi and change their diet, by default, they're going to add about 7 to 10 years on their life just by following those two practices. So then it started to hit me that what people need is they need accountability, but they need to be a part of something bigger than themselves that holds them accountable for doing things that's going to make their life better. And once I started to come to this conclusion, I wanted to create something. And that's why I'm here today. I'm going to go over what I created. But aside from the numerology and the Qigong and the eating healthy, obviously in this society, we need money to live. It just is what it is. Even if you want to eat healthy, organic food, you got to have money. Like, it's expensive. You can't, and everything is going up. Prices are rising, inflation. And most people that I meet or met on my journey, they struggle with the financial aspect. And even the ones that was making the money, they were missing one thing, and that was their freedom. I met people that made good money, but they worked 50, 60 hours a week. So then I started to say, well, man, if my finances are in order, I can't even really do what I'm here to do because I have to go work just to pay my bills, feed my family. So, this principle kind of came out of the New Covenant experience. And, Polite was big on the economic factor. Now, the things he was doing wasn't all right and exact, but some of the stuff he was saying was right on point. And I was able to, eat the watermelon and spit the seeds out, so to speak. I was able to eat the fish and throw away the bones. I took the good that I got out of there, and I started to say, man, I do see a need for, economic security amongst our people and in these different organizations and communities. And, people are joining and being a part of groups and wanting to be a part of something. And those organizations and groups that they become a part of just become a burden because they want, donations, dues, but they're not really teaching you how to go out and make no money. So I ended up stumbling on what is known as Forex, the foreign exchange market. And a lot of people have heard of Forex. It's a lot of talk about it. It's big online. People trading Bitcoin and crypto, and that's all a part of it. But most people, they don't really know what it is. They've never really done it. They just heard, and it's a lot of bad information on YouTube, people getting rich in 2 weeks and all this type of nonsense. And, it just doesn't work like that. So I started to study it. I started going through different courses, and it took me about 3 years to really, really learn it, and about 4 years to start really becoming profitable, where it's like, oh, wow, I'm actually making money off of this. Like, it's a real thing. So once I got that under my belt, I decided to create something where I bring in this philosophy that I got from back in the day from the 5%ers that says we're all about health, wealth, and knowledge of self. And that's my mantra, and that's my philosophy, and I feel like if you focus on those three things, you can figure everything else out. And that order is very specific and deliberate. First and foremost, without your health, nothing else matters. If I gave you $1 billion right now, and then gave you a terminal disease and said I will cure you for $1 billion, you give me the money right back to be cured. Unless you want to just leave it to your kids and take the sacrifice. But most people want to be here, right? So once I realized that, I said, man, if we ain't got the health factor, then nothing else really matters. So that's why health is first. And we focus on health in two ways. Very simple: diet and exercise. One thing that I like to do is keep things very simple. I don't like things to be too complicated. And diet is, mostly plant-based or all plant-based. I do eat fish from time to time, but mostly plant-based, right? And then when it comes to exercise, I started getting into Qigong and Tai Chi. And these are ancient martial arts, internal martial arts, where you really use the breath. It's really about the breath and your breathing and your stances to internally strengthen the body. The body has internal organs. And so this is a method in which you can strengthen your internal organs and even heal yourself and do things that almost seem miraculous. So I got into this and I started to say, man, this isn't that hard. The stances aren't hard. The breathing, you can do it sitting down. Older people can do it. Younger people can do it. It's practiced in China. And China, I believe, has the one of the longest life rates right now. So they live longer, I think, than anybody else. So when I started to discover these things, I was like, wow, if someone just watched what they ate and started practicing these arts, guaranteed over time their health is going to improve, because it did it for me. So there's the health aspect. When it comes to wealth, again, we focus on the Forex and also credit. And credit is it's leverage, right? If I'm able to take someone else's money, flip it, and then give them their money back and keep the difference, that's credit. Okay. And I'm from a different era where we did a lot of things to get money. Some wasn't right. Some was quote unquote illegal, but we did what we had to do to survive. And this was in the 90s. And a lot of people know the crack era, the 80s and 90s, So you get what I'm saying. We all knew how to take something, flip it, and then keep the difference. And that's all credit is, right? And so I started to learn how to deal with credit. And so I wanted to teach people how they can fix their credit up and then use other people's money as leverage to get other ventures, whether it's investing in Forex, real estate, or, even buying some t-shirts and selling them, but you may not have the money. You got a credit card, you can go buy 10 t-shirts for $100 and sell them for 20 a piece and then pay your credit card off. And then you just made $100. So I wanted to teach people about credit in the sense of how to use it as leverage, right? And so that's where the wealth comes from. And then the knowledge of self, obviously, is going to be numerology, since I'm a numerologist. I don't do astrology. Astrology and numerology are like brother and sister. Astrology is very accurate. It's like if I were to paint a picture and I use watercolor and ink, that might be numerology. But if I use fine pencil and very detailed, that might be astrology. But with astrology, you need a lot more information. I need to know the time you were born, where you were born, and where all the planets were at that time. So it's a little more complicated. It takes a little longer to learn. And numerology is a lot easier and a lot more practical on that level. So these are the areas that I felt are most prominent for our people. And I came to this conclusion by asking a very simple question. What are the areas that our people are having issues in? And if you look at the so-called Black community, we lead in diabetes, we lead in HIV, AIDS, we lead in everything, heart disease, everything negative, health-wise, we lead. COVID deaths, we lead in everything. So the health in our communities has to be addressed. Otherwise, all of this other stuff really don't matter. And we had great people like Dr. Sabi and Dr. Africa who came, and this was their message, and they fought tooth and nail to try to give our people the best information that they had and heal our people. But mental health is also important. So health is all encompassing. And so when I realized this, I said, the health aspect has to be addressed. That's number one in our communities. Then I said, what is the other issue in our communities that we're dealing with? Well, money. Let's just be honest. A lot of crimes are committed in our community are over women or money, mostly money, right? Brothers are sitting in jail. Most of them were either selling drugs or it was over some money and a situation happened. So having financial freedom, financial literacy, being in a good financial state is important for our people. And I realized that. So that had to be, to me, second in line. And then last is the identity crisis with our people. We have literally lost our mind. We've been stripped of everything, our knowledge, our history, our religious, our culture, everything was stripped from us, our language. And we've been taught by another group of people how we should act and conduct and carry ourselves. And it's not the most conducive way for us. And so knowing who you are, knowing your divine purpose. And when I say what are the issues in our community, the last one, which I say knowledge of self, is really dealing with people. So we have a real rough time with, I think, communication and just being able to deal with each other. Relationships, that's the word I'm looking for. So when you understand the Black community has a lot of issues with male, female, male, female relationships, shooting each other, a lot of violence. It's how do you deal with other people? Well, one thing in more science we teach is that anybody you deal with is a reflection of yourself. So if you're arguing and you're getting into it with people, they have a part of them that is really inside you, right? It's a negative aspect of you that you see in them. And that's usually where the conflict comes into play. And if you know who you are, you know your strengths, you know your weaknesses, you know what you're willing to put up with and what you're not, then a lot of times it will help you deal with people and relationships. You will make better decisions on people you choose to deal with. And the numerology, which gives you that insight to yourself, is just it. That does it for you. So this is how I came to the conclusion of health, wealth, knowledge of self, and these being the three areas that I think are most important for our people. I would like to play a little video, and this video is it's an explainer video of the online community that I started. So I basically started an online community called the Busara Trust. And this online community is where we focus on health, wealth, and knowledge of self. And in particular, we focus on healthy diet and Qigong. We focus on Forex and credit. And we focus on numerology. And I teach these things. We meet once a week. And it's a beautiful thing when you have like-minded people all moving on one accord. And the most awesome thing about it is that all the people that are members, I send out signals for them to get into trades because I trade. And so when you're meeting once a week and you show up and you done made $100 this week or $200 or $1,000 or whatever you made based on how much you have in your account, it's a good feeling as opposed to showing up somewhere every week and yeah, I got a good message, but when you can show up, you got a good message and you got some extra money in your pocket, it makes it a little more exciting. And it's just, it's just been an amazing journey to see the transformation of people who have joined and who have taken advantage of the information. So I'm about to play this video. I'm gonna share my screen. Am I good, Brozo? I'm about to play it.
Yes or no? Go ahead, man. You got it.
Uh,
How would you like to be a part of an online community that focuses on health, wealth, and knowledge of self? For less than $1 a day, you can learn how to live at optimal health through proper diet and Qigong exercise, one of the oldest martial arts systems in the world. You'll learn how to make money on the largest financial market on the planet, Forex, and use your credit as leverage. Lastly, you'll learn the world's oldest science, the science of numbers, aka numerology, taught by master numerologist and Forex investor Tyraine-El. The Busara Trust is perfect for anyone looking to improve their quality of life. We meet every Sunday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern on Zoom. Hope to see you soon.
all right, so that was a little breakdown of what what I created, and you know the Busara Trust. We actually meet from 7 to 9 now, so we kind of switched the time up a little bit. But it's a real powerful thing. People come in and they actually see benefits quick. Like you start to see real benefits. You can start to make money. You can start to improve your health. You start to get a greater understanding of who you are and what your purpose is and why you're going through what you're going through. And if you got children or if you got, a loved one or a spouse, all of that. They got a birthday, then you can read them. If you got a business, if the business has a start date, that your business was registered with the Secretary of State, I can show you how to use that birthday to even look at the cycles of your business. So there's so much information that you have access to just by learning these different modalities, and it really can be life changing. So you got any questions for me?
Yeah, man. It was just interesting because, like you said earlier, you and I met when we were dealing with Polite with New Covenant, and
Mhm.
I was in the same position with you because, see, like me being raised up, in the Wappy Nation of Moors and all, all that, and I used to look at, Dr. York, and he, I was like, yo, that joker got money. You know what I'm saying? He won, walking around with holes in his shoes. You know what I'm saying? And then so I saw that from that aspect, and I remember going to like Savior's Day. I remember coming to the land and like Tyraine, when I tell you, I saw thousands and thousands of people waiting in line in the hot sun for $75 books. That's when me personally things started kind of changing in my mind when when it came to the financial aspect of that was the small glimpse. You know what I'm saying? That was a small glimpse into it. Um, but then, you know, like you were saying earlier, I started reading those polite books. You know what I'm saying? And I ain't gonna front like you were saying earlier. Like we heard a lot of crazy stuff that went down, but them books were cracking my skull when it came to finances. You know what I'm saying? Just
Mhm.
straight up, man. Them, them books. I was just like, I had no clue. He was talking about credit. He was talking about he was talking about credit. He was talking, all that stuff. You know, and me seeing what I saw earlier from Dr. York, him having lands, communities, what do you call 'em? Movie theater, all that stuff, and
Yeah.
wondering how it happened, and you know what I'm saying, and then able to have that information in front of me. It started. That's when the wheels really started churning, and I looked at everything so differently because I saw how important finance was. You know what I mean? That changed my whole perspective of like the triad, if you want to call it health, wealth, and science itself. Because it's the same
Mhm.
thing I was learning. I was just
Yep.
my health was cool. Because like in the book, I talk about how my hip was jacked up because I had arthritis. So I wouldn't eat right. So I did like you said. Same you said. I went to Dr. Sabi, got his, learn how to eat right, get herbs. Even Dr. Africa had his book,
Mhm.
got that part done right. knowledge of self. I was always doing that through the information from the doctrine, from from the Wusabat or Nuwapian doctrine. I was going through that, right? Now, where's the wealth part? You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? Where's the wealth part? And that's that's the thing that opened me so I could link up, that triad. You know what I'm saying? So that is very heavy in. There's a Billy Carson wrote a book recently called "Woke Don't Mean Broke." And man, you can't say it much
Exactly.
better than that. You know what I'm
You
saying?
can't.
You could be, you could be conscious. You know what I'm saying? Same thing going back to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. When Dr. Hernandez had a presentation, he was talking about how them the noble Drew Ali, they were acquiring properties back then, like in you know what I'm saying, back in what, the 20s.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So yo, going back here, you know what I'm saying, back in our days, yo, Mansa Musa, yo, we were all about the money. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? So going back to you saying
And
earlier, we lost that, but now
not to cut you off, Zoe, but Polite one time told me that he claimed Dr. York said, because Dr. York was a real estate guru. He understood real estate. He was buying land, movie theaters,
mhm.
all that. And he it was said that someone asked him, why don't you teach the members real estate and how to, acquire property like you do? And he said, I want to, but
Mhm.
these Negroes still want to argue with me if Jesus existed. And I thought that was
Jesus
interesting
existed. Yep.
because when I, came into this community, I would hear arguments and debates about Jesus existing and Moses and all of these biblical characters. And I was saying, first and foremost, if he did or didn't, now what? How does this affect your life in any
Yeah.
shape, form, or fashion? If you found out right now, guess what? He actually existed. Now, what
Yeah.
changed for you? Nothing. And on top of that, when you understand numerology, you understand that these people only represent archetypes. And those archetypes did exist and do exist today. So we don't have to make it so spooky. So I wanted to throw that
No,
out there because,
yeah.
mhm, yeah, because there's a lot of people who
No, go ahead.
actually could teach the information that will change your life as far as some of the financial information and some of the other information. But sometimes some of our people get so caught up on things that honestly really don't matter and that's trivial that they miss the good stuff.
Yeah, and that's true, man, and that's true. And I remember reading Behind the Nine Ball, and
Mm-hmm. I read that.
just seeing, yeah, just seeing the importance and the emphasis that Doc put on that aspect of it all. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Just laying a blueprint for it, man. And know, I think I feel the same way you did. I feel the same way that you do about of what you said about eating a watermelon, spitting out the seeds, eating the chicken. I mean, eating the
Mm-hmm.
fish and spitting out the bones. Because you know, I learned a lot from Polite and his information, and he introduced me to people like Claude Anderson and all these
Mm-hmm.
different people that I had no clue. You know what I mean? So that's where me and this brother met. You know what I'm saying? We literally met. Trying to
Facts.
trying to come up. You know what I'm saying? And Polite was giving this
Mm-hmm.
information. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I don't know what's going on today, man. What I'm saying? I don't even, who knows?
Yeah.
But
I
we,
don't know.
we met some good brothers and sisters that were trying
Yes.
to get on a come. You know what I'm saying? Um,
Facts.
so I remember in your presentation, besides the video, you had um, some other clips. Did you want to go through those real quick?
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
the clips, but the PDF. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to So what I want to do first is kind of go over numerology. So just for those who might not
Okay.
know what it is, and
Let me.
I actually don't. I really don't have a video. I'm gonna just speak, and then I'm gonna show
Okay,
a
that's
short
cool.
video on forex. So the reason that I combine numerology and forex, part of the reason is because a forex deals with numbers and numerology deals with numbers. And what I was able to discover, right, if you understand what numerology is, then you'll understand that you go through these cycles, right? We call them cycles. Well, if you study Forex, you'll find out that the market goes through these cycles. And then you'll also find out that based on your cycle, there are opportune times for you to trade. And then there are times when you need to fall back and not trade. And this has a lot to do with your psychology, right? And the word psyche comes from soul, if you do the etymology on the word. So when you start to look at it from that angle, I was able to utilize numerology to give myself an added leverage to my trading. Now, that doesn't mean you don't have to learn how to trade, right? You still got to learn how to trade, period, or you're going to lose your money. But when you know how to trade and you understand your season or your cycle, Bible calls it a season. We call it cycles in numerology. When you're in your money cycle, when you're in a good cycle and you see a good setup, it's probably going to work in your favor. The odds are a little more in your favor. And this is something that I've been testing over the years. It's not just theory. But I always explain numerology very simple. It's the science of numbers. It just basically says that numbers have vibrational frequencies that can be measured. Numbers are both, they can be used for quantitative or qualitative. So you can add things up like 1 finger, 2 finger, 3 finger, or you can use it for quality or characteristics, like I got to do a number 1 or I got to do a number 2. In that context, you understand what those numbers mean. And numbers is just a form of communication. And I believe personally that is the way the universe or the creator speaks to us. That's my personal opinion. But it is a form of communication through symbols. And when I explain the numbers, it's 9 numbers, as everyone knows, 1 through 9. I like to break them down like this. So I use the Bible as an example to kind of give a breakdown of the numbers 1 through 9 and what they represent. So 1 represents man. And actually, I will share my screen. My daughter had put this together for me. It's a little video, and it shows the different numbers. But 1 represents man. And so in the Bible, the story of Adam and Eve, we know that man came first according to the story. So 1 represents the masculine energy. After man, then comes woman. So 2 will be woman. And we know, according to the biblical story, Eve came second. So after you have a man and you have a woman, obviously you have a child, which comes next. So 3 represents child. And the 3 energy is very playful and curious. After the child, you have the building. So you build a home, you build somewhere to live in, because the man and the woman now have a child. After they build something, then they want to explore their area. So 5 represents freedom. And that represents exploring. After you explore, then you get your family in order. So 6 represents family. After you get your family in order, then you get in tune with God, or what we would call your higher self. So 7 represents God. After you do that, then you get the money and the power. So 8 represents power, karma, and money. A very powerful number. After that, then you give it all away. So 9 represents compassion. And those are the 9 numbers that are in numerology. And I wanted to show that little video. My daughter did it, and I thought it was cute. But it just goes through the numbers, and that's an easy way to kind of explain it. And so it's the way numerology works. I can take your birthday, look at different aspects of your birthday, and tell you certain things about yourself. But the beauty of what I practice is called predictive numerology, is the fact that everybody goes through a cycle every 9 years, every 9 months, and every 9 days, and you can use math to calculate those cycles, a mathematical formula. And once you do that, it will help improve how you maneuver and conduct and carry yourself, because you'll be able to almost see things coming before they come. You'll see opportunities coming before they come, and then you can capitalize or take advantage of it. So this is how numerology works in a nutshell. Most people are familiar with it. It's real easy. It's basic addition. I can teach it to a child. I taught my daughter. She's like 11. So anybody can learn it. And it is very practical. It's something you can practice every day. And, I just promote it as a way to gain more insight as to who you are, what your purpose is, and why you're going through what you're going through, as well as a way to help you interact and deal with other people around you, whether it be a spouse, a family member, a mom, a father, sister, or just some friends. Does that make sense?
You know, 100%. And I'm definitely with you on that. Like I just told you, you just did a quick reading for me, real quick. And I told you that was confirmed by something I heard earlier from another reading. So I already know that this man is the bomb. So y'all, I put his links down there. Here's another one right here, Tyraine.com.
Yes.
That's where you can contact him and reach him. And also I have another one here. What is it? Q time?
Yeah, Q methods.
Q methods.
Q methods. So that's one of my martial arts instructor. I've studied martial arts, and I've even studied with you, brother, for off and on for about 9 years. And I actually studied Qigong in Georgia under this Professor Michael Issa. And this is his website. And so, he's well more qualified than I am. I can teach some basic stuff, but I recommend, people going to him, and it's all free. He gives it away for free. So you can't beat free. So, I wanted to be a resource for people and not just I need $1 for everything. So even if you look at me and I don't want nothing to do with you, you can go there and get free Qigong classes.
Yeah. You know what? It's real interesting because I was in class because I'm in the VA right now too for now, and I was in a class with another Shotokan, a different Shotokan sensei than my senseis down in Atlanta, and it was interesting because he was teaching same style. They're both Shotokan, but his emphasis was really on more, I think, well, not more, but he would just really emphasize the power that you generate from the moves. But it wasn't the physical strength. It was the energy, And I thought that was real interesting. And truth be told is, man, when he would do certain techniques and I was close to him, I could feel it. So could you kind of go into more detail about, because this is, this is my personal question.
Right.
I be seeing those people, they be doing stuff like when Qigong, they be doing certain things and things blow up and smack, you know what I'm saying? And I think in our culture, we call it sachem, or power, you know what I'm saying? Is that what these people are doing? They're generating like power from inside. Where are they getting it from? How does that work if you get down to the science of it?
That's exactly what they're doing. So everybody has something called a dantian, and if you take 3 fingers and put it below your navel, that's where your dantian is. And that's kind of like where your chi is stored. And you're able to draw chi from the breath. That's really, chi is really breath work. And through certain breathing techniques, you can then pull chi, which is nothing more than energy, from the atmosphere, right? From your environment, because everything is energy, right? We're made up of energy. Everything is vibrating at different frequencies, and you're able to tap into that energy and use that energy for a lot of different feats. I've seen people take steel pipes, put it in their neck and bend it and just do things. I've seen people set paper on fire. So when you see, some of these martial art cartoons and they're spitting, shooting fireballs out their hand and doing different things, those are exaggerations. But there are people who can do things like I seen a guy set a piece of paper on fire without touching it just by using his chi. I actually took Tantra and was actually certified in Tantra. And I learned how to move people's energy through a breathing technique. And it actually works. Like I didn't believe it personally until I was actually able to do it myself. I'm a very skeptical person, but I'm willing to listen and try almost anything, within reason. So I was
Yeah.
able to see these things work firsthand.
So here's another question, because I had another brother was talking about how a lot of the origins from China came from the Comedians, how the ancient Comedians, and when they started migrating, all over the place, they would just set up temples and teach these people how to do this, etc. Like, these are these old. This I'm assuming, considering the original people, these are old African things that techniques and methods that were spread throughout. Is that correct or incorrect?
Yes, there is a lot of truth to that. So a lot of these sciences were first created and by our people. But what happened was Egypt and certain parts of Africa and where this information was, the people traveled and these places eventually were conquered, and the people that traveled went to other places like China and the mountains, and this is where they would go and meditate, and the monks and stuff. And this information was then passed down generation to generation, and it was preserved through the Chinese culture, because Africa and African culture has been completely raped. There is really no pure Africa anything. Most of Africa has been conquered on some level. So, but there are areas in China, in the mountains, in particular the Wudang Mountains and other mountains, where they got priests up there that, according to some, are hundreds of years old. And whether they're hundreds of years old or not, they've been there for thousands of years teaching the next generation, and it's just been preserved. So this information was preserved by them. While we may have been the creators and originators of most of it, they
Introduced it.
definitely are credited for preserving it and maybe even adding on to it in a lot of instances.
Yeah. That makes sense. That makes sense. I mean, that's just like you said. That's just the modern day world history of
Mhm.
the flow of once we fell. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That makes perfect sense. And and if you ask me, they do a damn good job at it, because even and because I talk about all the time how in America specifically, we don't have any true culture that's mainstream, I should say, that gives a rites of passage. You know what I mean? So it's like, if you are a conscious individual, right, and you're raising a family, it's like you got to go to different places. Like, for example, all right, rites of passage would be, all right, you got to get a black belt in karate. A second part of your, your passage, rite of passage, you got to do inner work, a tai chi. You know what I'm saying? Or so
Yes,
we have to, because of what you just said, we have to literally make up our own rites of passages for our kids and preserve our own way. Um, unless you're already in a system that is already set up that way, but that's very rare. And a lot of times those systems are exploited, and people try to infiltrate it and tear it up because it's doing such a good job for raising good black men and good black women. You know what I'm saying?
absolutely.
Nobody wants, like I say, like I talk about my book. I say America only breeds, for black people, only breed you either a Negro or a nigger. That's it.
Right.
There's no, those are the two options you got. If you're going to do anything outside of that, you have to get knowledge yourself. You know what I'm saying? And that's
That's right.
the minority inside of the minority.
Yes, you're right. And
You know what I'm saying?
those type of rites of passages and practices, they should be taught at our schools. And unfortunately, we don't control our schools.
Mm-hmm.
And then if the schools are not going to do it, we
Mm-hmm.
should have our own spiritual system that incorporates these things. And I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to mention that I started a
Mm-hmm.
school for young so-called black males between 9 through 18 called the Busara Trust earlier on, back in like
Mm-hmm.
2012, 2013. And I think you even came to some classes with your son, and we was teaching them boxing and how to
Mm-hmm.
eat right and their history and different things
Mm-hmm.
like that. So it's up to us to teach the next generation. And even with my online classes, if you're under 18, it's free. I don't charge children. So because I believe that we should be teaching the next generation. It's important.
Yeah, I think that it's interesting. It's very interesting to me. The more and more more I want to go this way, pun not intended, but the more I learn about the Moors, Noble Drew Ali, the ancient
Mhm.
Moors and stuff, and where they came from, etc., and the lineage, from Noble Drew Ali, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Dr. York, and like all these individuals, like it's and I keep on saying, and all these great master teachers that we have, you know what I'm saying? For me, it's a beautiful thing. As much as stuff we've gone through, that we've still consistently had these great people to teach us and warn us for this day and
Yes.
time. You know what I'm saying? Because that's kind of a different situation. Because we know, you know, I read a lot of the information, a lot of the same information. So I know
Mhm.
you and we sitting back and looking at something that we learned from the
Right.
'90s, from Doc and all these and all these individuals. We like, yo, they would talk about that in the '90s. You know what I'm saying? Now we live in it. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying?
Exactly.
Yo, this is still bugging me. I just got off the phone earlier with Priestess Ramon, and we were
Mhm.
building, and she was just she said every day she walks around like with her hand on her jaw with her mouth open, like I can't believe I'm living this stuff now. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yep.
I didn't think I didn't think we'd be going through this stuff right now. You know what I mean?
Yep. It was
And
a book that kind of.
it's crazy to me.
You remember that book called "Behold the Pale Horse" by William Cooper?
I remember that.
That was a game changer for me. That changed everything. That's once I read that book, I was like, "Oh wow, it's real." And I read that in the '90s.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that was devastating, man. And it's I mean, that just shows like I was saying earlier, you know what I'm saying? That means the universe put people the universe is put people to warn us of all
Yep.
genders. You know what I'm saying? All
Yep.
race, whatever, You know what I'm saying? The universe is impartial, you know what I'm saying? So everybody gotta get warned from the tyrrancy and all the craziness of the people that are, running the show and trying to manipulate folks and all terrorize and stuff. Because I remember I was talking about this. I mean, we were talking about um I'm gonna call the C word the heebie-jeebies. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We were talking about the we talking about how I think you said you had the heebie-jeebies right one time, or you thought
Nah,
you
I
might have
never
had the
got it.
heebie-jeebies. Remember we
I
were talking
thought
about
I
that?
did. I
No,
went
yeah,
and
you
got
never got it.
tested.
You
I
thought he
went and got
did. You know
tested,
what
but
I'm
I
saying?
was
And you were
negative.
negative. Yeah, yeah. And I was just telling a story recently. I thought I had the heebie-jeebies too, but I didn't even want to get tested. Because my man down at Platinum VK, I had stuff that got me straight. You know what I'm saying? So I felt
Mhm.
sick about 3 days. I was feeling pretty much all right. I was a little fatigued after that, but and I'm gonna keep on saying it's like even if it was the heebie-jeebies, you know what I'm saying? It ain't what nothing. Not granted, I'm a healthy person, so somebody could have a whole different story, But
Right.
going back to what you said earlier about health, if you're on top of that bad boy, you're gonna have a lot different experience than other person would.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Other people would. You know what I mean? And that's why I think what you're saying, the triad, is so important. You know, you know, and the part of the triad that most I think melanated beings or melanated people on this planet are struggling at is the wealth. You know what I'm saying? Because they don't teach that stuff in school. You know what I'm saying? They
Exactly.
don't not like that. Even if you go on a, you know what I'm saying? Even if you go into a, if you go into school in the hood, you definitely ain't gonna get it. You know what I'm saying? You go on a different. It's not a readily resource that we have. You know what I mean? That we had. So that's why I think that was the last part of my journey. You know what I mean? Was the finances. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Just because my dad, he was a well, he was a carpenter. He owned a business and stuff. And he taught me how to be a hard worker and all that kind of stuff. And I saw what he did, but imagine if I would have learned the stuff from the how to run it by the books at that time.
Mm,
Of course I was too young
right.
to learn it, but when he was doing all that, but imagine, imagine if we had the same mindset like some of these other races, like Jews, because they, like Polite was saying, the Jews take their finances and merge it with their religion. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So you don't have no
Exactly.
choice to learn this stuff, you
Right.
know? So that's that's literally where we have to get at this point. And I do see an awakening, especially with this crypto, forex, all this stuff. I do see a huge awakening of people get involved in it that are melanated. But then you ask yourself, now we see that. Now, what's going to be the curveball thrown in this situation? Now some people are getting it. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm. I know.
So
Oh, well, they've already
yeah,
thrown a
man.
curveball.
You know what I'm
Taxes.
saying?
Found a way to tax the
Yeah,
Bitcoin people. They gonna figure it out.
yeah,
It's too
yeah. There
much
you
money.
go.
I
They're gonna figure
promise you.
somewhat. There you go, man. There you go, man. There you go. But yeah, man. Now I'll put your information up here, your website. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
The Qigong, put it again for the Qigong, your Qigong teacher. Is there anything
Yes.
else you wanted to present? Do you want us to present somebody? You say you don't really want to deal with the PDFs and then like that. You just rather
Yeah,
talk. Is there
yeah.
anything
No,
else
I'm not gonna
you
deal.
got the open stage here?
I'm not gonna deal with the PDFs. I just want to say that
Okay.
like the forex, it's a game changer for a lot of people. And what forex does is you don't make money. It teaches you how to multiply the money you already have. So most people, if they need more money, they go get another job. But you can only work so many hours of the day. But if you can take $100 and while you sleep at night, turn it to $150, you just made $50 while you were asleep, and then you can still get up and go to work tomorrow. And this is the mindset that we have to have because it ain't how much money you make per se, it's how much you can keep because it's easy to make money, but it's hard to keep it because you constantly having to pay bills and food and this, that, and the third. So your money is constantly going out and you need multiple streams of income. But there are plenty of people out here who have enough money that they are making monthly that if they just learn how to multiply that money to maybe make an extra 500 to 1,000 a month, it would be a whole different lifestyle for them. And these things are possible. And so just learning to invest in general is important because that's one thing about money. It's like when a lot of time when our people get money, they go out and they just very frivolous with it. And they don't teach investing in school. And you can do real estate investing. You don't have to do forex. You can do the stock market. You can do precious metals, EFTs. So there's different things you can invest in. There's different levels of risk. You can do high risk, low risk, medium risk. So, investing is very broad in the sense of it's taking your money, putting it into something else, and then allowing that money to be multiplied. And this is where you want to get to. You want to become everybody at some point should be making enough money to invest some of their money. And that should be your end game. You make enough money to invest so that that money can then work for you. Because money doesn't need to sleep, it doesn't need to eat, it doesn't need to use the bathroom. Money will work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and no human can do that. None. So, learning to make your money work for you is an important concept and principle, and it's not just forex. I mean, it's plenty of different avenues that you can do that, but that principle is what I want people to take away. Learning how to take your money or other people's money and make that money work for you. You got me, Zoe? I can't hear you.
All right, there you go. Can you hear
I can
me?
hear you. Yep, I'm with you.
Okay.
So did that make
Yeah,
sense? What I was
my
saying
mic
about the
my mic
investment?
fell off. Oh yeah, you already know, man. You already know it makes sense. It's and that's I'm very happy that you have that. We have it documented because people need to hear this. You know what I mean? And they need to meet up with people like you, that are sincere and trying to make money with people. It's it's imperative right now because it's interesting because I tell a lot of people now that simplicity and sustainability is going to get us all through this. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Um, Simplicity and sustainability. If you can, find ways, the easiest way to be able to just, live and survive, then cool. Because really, that's like a perfect example. Like if somebody was out in the country or whatever, right? And not around a lot of people, they're growing their own food and except how is COVID or the heebie-jeebies, anything else in between that, how affect them? They got everything to do in the backyard. You
Right.
know, how's the boogeyman? How's the heebie-jeebies? You know what I'm saying? And how's anything going to innovate when they're already put in a position when they have that? And that sustainability is what we all need to strive for, in which we don't have to. We a lot of us already mentally away from watching the news, worrying about politics, and on the higher levels, all these different things. We don't care about none of it. You know what I mean? And
Right.
because we're trying to create our own reality as opposed to them
Yep.
influence our reality. You know, and finances is a big part of that because you literally, with the right money, like it's interesting. Um, the movie The Big Short. Did you see that movie?
Yes, I love that movie. Yes.
Yeah. And you remember that guy later on? I saw an interview with him, right? And I can't remember his name right now, but he was interviewing him, and a person said, because he made millions and millions of dollars off that betting against the fall. So, some what his biggest purchasing items were, his biggest assets. He said land with water on it.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Having the
You know
ability
what
to
I'm
have,
saying?
you
Bill
gotta have
Gates, they
water.
said,
You
yeah.
gotta have
Bill
water to
Gates,
survive.
they saying Bill Gates buying up most of America now. Yeah, they said
Yep.
Bill Gates buying up most of the land in this country, just buying it up, and these people, they know what's going on. You could control the food. You know what I'm saying? You already see when you go into market now. I went into daggone Walmart, and for like literally literally the past 2 weeks, ain't no chicken in the poultry sector is empty. You know what I'm
Wow.
saying? The poultry sector is empty. This up in Virginia. I don't know how it is in Atlanta, but
Right.
please believe that these food shortages are they're gonna come. They gonna all everything to do to control and just to scare people and get them to to be all fearful and stuff. It's all
Yep.
coming. You know what I'm saying? We just got to be prepared. And what you presented today is a perfect ingredient, a perfect blueprint for getting through this. You know what I mean? Your health, get that money, and get to know self. I mean, you can't really much ask more than those three things to be um, beneficial in this thing we call life. My brother, it was wonderful seeing you. You
Yes,
know what I'm
sir.
saying? As a beautiful build,
Yes, sir.
and you
Yes,
already
sir.
know. So,
Appreciate you.
have you see? You might have seen. Like I said, he was already on here before, and brothers like him, other sisters, you gonna see them quite often because just because this brother's been on me 2 times, so we got mad stuff to talk about. You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
yeah.
We just scratching the surface. We just scratching the surface. scratching the surface. You know what I'm saying? We need to, he might be able to do a daggone class on here, 4X, just teaching you how to stuff. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to keep on getting these people because this information for y'all and us, you know what I'm saying? So we can elevate, you know what I'm saying? The polka dot rabbit, you know what I'm saying? You got to follow the polka dot rabbit down the rabbit hole. Ask yourself, get that information, question everything. You know what I'm saying? Right knowledge, right wisdom, right understanding. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
Get it, dig
Facts.
deep, hard. You know what I'm saying? And get this information because almost everything that's been given to you, especially by the powers that be, has been a lie. While they got all these ancient papyruses, all this good information they've been reading and learning how to elevate themselves to the highest, they got you watching daggone somebody shake their booty or somebody run a football, shoot a basketball, putting all your energy in the net. You know what I'm saying? So,
man, that's powerful.
We got to start waking up. We got to wake up.
I'm glad you mentioned that because we live in interesting times. YouTube is a wealth of information. You can spend hours on there looking at nonsense, or you can. I literally learned a lot of my trading technique by watching free videos on YouTube. So I joke and we call it YouTube University, but it's so much information on YouTube. And if you take the time, you want to learn about real estate or flipping houses or Qigong or any subject. It's somebody on YouTube.
Any subject. That's doing.
Facts.
Yep, that's the truth. All right. Well, until we see again, until we meet again, so we build on our next episode, because what I'm saying, this is a real good build, so we got to get it out to the folks, man. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate you, brother. You know what I'm saying? And
yes, sir.
Until next
appreciate
time,
you.
Peace. Your brozo, my man. Yourbrozo.com. We got Tyraine.com. Check him out and follow the Polka Dot Rabbit podcast here, but also follow down the rabbit hole. Get the knowledge, get the right knowledge. All right. Peace.
Peace.